Yo, what's good, boys? It is Yap MMA. We are back with another video. Today, we're going to be recapping UFC Vegas 104, Vettori versus Dolidze. The card just finished. It was not a bad Apex card, boys. I mean, from the outside, looked like one of the worst Apex cards we've seen in a fat minute. But honestly, loads of finishes, fun fights, here and there, good prospects, prospects that were beaten, prospects that are going to be rising, man. Great cards. So we're going to get into it. Before we go ahead and get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's start off with the first fight of the night of Junesi Dubin versus Carly Judas. I'm going to give a disclaimer. I did not do well on picks in this fight, boys. But Junesi Dubin, I think everybody in their right mind was thinking, Junesi Dubin could find the finish. She's strong. She's powerful. She's got a lot of knockouts in her career. But just the sheer sheer level of disregard for defense, for the way that she's throwing her punches, it didn't go well against a sniper in Carly Judice, who absolutely pieced up Junesi Dubin, finished her in round one with a head kick and dropped her, and then finished her with ground and pound. It was nasty work by Carly Judice. A lot of people were picking Junesi Dubin. She was a huge underdog. That line went down and down because people were betting her. I'm gonna be honest, I made a parlay with her, crashed right away. I regret it, but it is what it is. We move on, boys. Next fight, we got Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Back-to-back women's cards finishes, boys. Back-to-back KOs by women. This was crazy work. Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Both of them have crazy finishing potential. Cachoeira was throwing hands. Nunes was throwing hands. They were winging bombs at each other. Round one, they came out. They were throwing hands no matter what. It was like a bar fight. It was like a bar fight or a truck stop fight. It was just, they were winging shots. They were winging shots, genuinely. This was like, I think, performance bonus for Priscilla. Nasty knockout. Dropped Josiane Nunes, put her to sleep with a right hand. I believe it was a right hand. Dropped her. Josiane Nunes, you could see her eyeballs go back, completely asleep, laid out flat on the canvas. Priscilla Cachoeira comes away with a nice knockout victory in round one. That's back-to-back round one finishes in women's MMA. I mean, not a bad start to the Apex, boys. Not a bad start. We move on, though, to the next fight. Daniel Barras versus Andre Lima. Andre Lima gets his first finish in the UFC. Great finish over Daniel Barras. Daniel Barras is a decent UFC fighter. Honestly, he's a pretty good UFC fighter. This was Andre Lima's toughest test so far. I've been calling that Andre Lima is going to lose his O, but he came out. He proved that he's the better fighter, the more seasoned fighter. He was the better fighter all around. Andre Lima just had an upper hand. He just seemed like he was a few steps ahead of Daniel Barras throughout this fight. He mixed it up better with leg kicks, shooting at the body, throwing shots at the body, and going upstairs as well. And Andre Lima has a decent amount of power. Even though we've seen a lot of decisions out of him, he is very well-rounded. His ground game is great, and his striking is just getting better and better. So Andre Lima did get a performance bonus from this win. In round three, he was able to take down Daniel Barras, get him up against the fence, go and get his back. He was able to just get the side of his back, wrap around for the rear naked choke. He didn't have it initially, locked it in, got a beautiful rear naked choke submission, end of round three. So that's a great win by Andre Lima, man. And he moves up to 11-0. He is a flyweight prospect. I'd love to see what he would look like against somebody in the rankings. I think after this nice submission over Daniel Barras, he does deserve a ranked opponent. So we will see what happens with that. But great win by Andre Lima. And this card, man, honestly, pretty fun card. Pretty fun card. Looked like a shit card, but pretty fun. We move on, though. Stephanie Luciano versus Sam Hughes. This was actually a fun fight. I genuinely enjoyed this fight. First round was close. It was back and forth. Stephanie Luciano was landing the better shots, I thought. Sam Hughes was pushing forward, moving with pressure like I thought she would. She did win this fight. Great win by Sam Hughes. It was a very close fight, though. Round one, definitely I sided with Stephanie Luciano, but round two and round three I gave to Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes dominated round two. It was a 10-8 round by far. Had her on the ground. She took down Stephanie Luciano. The takedowns were key for Sam Hughes, was ground and pounding her, looked for submissions, was going for chokes. She almost had, I believe, a rear naked choke at one point. She had a rear naked choke locked up on Stephanie Luciano. Wasn't able to finish it, though. Luciano survived. They move on to the third round. The third round was very close. Like, this fight was a split decision. I knew it was going to be a very close split decision. I did go with Sam Hughes. Great underdog pick. I made some money, some value on that pick. It was a good fight. But Sam Hughes did squeeze away with the decision. I didn't think they would give Sam Hughes another, not robbery decision, but very close decision against an up-and-comer. But they did. So, Sam Hughes, she stays in the UFC, and she just gets another win, another split decision win for Sam Hughes. Good win by her, though. We move on. Carlos Vera versus Josias Musaso. Carlos Vera was the biggest underdog on this entire card. Bro walks away with a performance bonus. And absolutely fraud checks Josias Musasa, man. Josias Musasa, undefeated fighter, undefeated prospect. His nickname is literally the KO Wizard. I was thinking he was going to come out here. He's going to knock out this bum, Carlos Vera, who's 37, 38 years old at bantamweight. Carlos Vera proves that, age don't matter, man. He lands a beautiful, beautiful right head kick on Josias Musasa as Musasa was backing out of the pocket. Carlos Vera lands that beautiful head kick, blitzes in, hops on Josias, gets his neck right away, goes to the ground, gets his neck, wraps up the rear naked choke, and gets that performance bonus. Beautiful rear naked choke after the head kick from Carlos Vera. Well-deserved performance bonus, man. Great for this guy. A lot of people doubted him. He was a huge, huge underdog. If you guys cash money line on that, good shit, boys. But I didn't expect it. This is why you don't bet on what do you call it? Five or 6-1, 6-1 favorite. Absolutely ridiculous, man. Crazy, crazy finish by Carlos Vera. Beautiful win by him, though. We move on. Sung Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham. This was a bit of a boring fight, man. Not the most entertaining fight. AJ Cunningham cut him out of the UFC. We don't care. Sung Young Yu just outpointed AJ Cunningham. Cunningham was clearly the more physically imposing and more kind of bulked up guy. You could see the size difference between AJ Cunningham and Sung Young Yu. He was a solid underdog pick just because of the size, but his volume was lacking. Sung Young Yu landed the better shots, got the takedowns, and the takedowns were the defining factor. AJ Cunningham almost had a leg triangle in round 2. Wasn't able to properly cinch it up, though. Wasn't able to get his legs fully locked. Sung Young Yu had a little bit of space to be able to breathe, so he had the takedown, got top position. In round 1, it was back and forth with the striking, but Sung Young Yu landed the better shots. In round 2, he got the takedown, did some damage on the ground, held him down, and then in round 3, it was about the same thing. And this fight was kind of boring, I won't lie, but great win by Sung Young Yu. AJ Cunningham just cut him out the UFC, man. He just not enough presence throughout this fight, not enough volume thrown, just didn't seem like he deserved to be there, So we move on, though. Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann made his heavyweight debut, and I thought Ryan Spann was going to have the better finishing capabilities, but Waldo Cortez Acosta absolutely flatlines Ryan Spann. This was a back and forth fight where they both dropped each other. Round 1, it was back and forth. They were throwing haymakers, throwing knockout shots the entire time, man. The entire time they were throwing knockout punches, right? Punches to kill each other, to try and put each other to sleep. And they were stinging each other. Ryan Spann dropped Acosta at one point. Acosta dropped Ryan Spann in a couple moments. And then Costa really had Ryan Spann injured in round 2. And Ryan Spann just seemed like he was a little bit out of it. He was still wobbly while he was going around. And at one point, he got up to his feet. After getting dropped a little bit, I don't know if he slipped or if he got dropped down, but he got back to his feet. Costa closed the distance. Acosta closed the distance, man. Landed a beautiful left hook, dropped Ryan Spann, and finished him with some ground and pound on the ground, man. And it was a nice win by Waldo Cortez Acosta. I thought Ryan Spann would have had the better finishing capabilities, but Acosta is actually pretty good, man. He's actually not a bad heavyweight. Great striking. He's able to wrestle as well. So great win by Waldo Cortez Acosta to keep his spot in the rankings. We move on to the main card, though. We open it up with Sung Woo Choi versus Kevin Vallejos, man. This was a great fight. This is a prospect who everybody's been hyping on, man. This is the only dude to go the distance with Jean Silva ever. And Jean Silva is all the roar, man, right now at featherweight. He is literally the next up and coming prospect that you want to see. And Kevin Vallejos had a close fight with him. So the hype coming in here was crazy. And I was like, maybe there's a chance Kevin gets fraud checked, but no, sir, man. Kevin Vallejos knocks out Sung Woo Choi round 1 with a beautiful overhand right. As Sung Woo Choi, he threw a straight right down the pipe. Kevin ducked, overhand right over the top, knocked Sung Woo Choi down to the ground, finished him with some nice ground and pound. Kevin Vallejos is very, very dangerous. His striking is beautiful. He's like a mini Ilia Topuria, man. He's going in, he's picking his shots wisely, wasn't stressing, wasn't forcing anything that he had to. He was way smaller than Sung Woo Choi and still came away with that knockout win, man. Kevin Vallejos is somebody to look out for at featherweight, boys. We move on to the next fight, DR Nurgaze versus Brenson Ribeiro, man. Everybody was picking DR, man. Brenson Ribeiro, beautiful freaking, what's it called? Oh my God. Kimura. Sorry, Kimura. Oh my God, my brain, boys. I'm sorry, it's late. But DR Nurgaze, he was landing some good shots throughout this fight. So was Brenson Ribeiro. It was very back and forth. Ribeiro dropped DR at one point. I believe it was in round 1. He dropped him. Didn't really force anything, though. Brenson was really calm, very, picked his shots very wisely. DR seemed to have something going on with his face the entire fight. He was poking at his eye. I don't know if you guys saw that, but his eye was twitching. He kept going like this. I don't know if it was a tick or if there was something wrong with his eye. He didn't get eye poked or anything, so I didn't know what was going on. But DR he just looked out of place, man. Didn't have anything going for him. Didn't land any really crazy significant strikes to injure Brenson Ribeiro. And Brenson just played it very calm, very safe. Got to the takedown. Got the takedown on, or DR got the takedown on Brenson. Brenson reversed the position. Reversed the position with the Kimura. Literally had DR on top of him. Had his arm flipped. Used his arm. And the fact that DR was on top to use it to get the Kimura from bottom position and flip DR onto his back and get on top to get that Kimura. Brenson Ribeiro, beautiful BJJ, amazingly used that Kimura to get out of bottom position and get the submission, man. That was just amazing by Brenson Ribeiro, man, at light heavyweight to get a Kimura. It was just super impressive. I think this deserved a performance bonus of the night, but I know there was some other really, really good finishes, so I understand. But beautiful win by Brenson Ribeiro, man. He's making a comeback in the UFC on a 2-fight win streak, man. Good for him. We move on, though. Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. Damon Blackshear, man, does what needed to be done. Does what everybody expected he would do. He gets that submission over Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson, he definitely brought a fight, though. Round 1, Cody Gibson came out. He was swinging. He was putting the pressure on Damon Blackshear. Blackshear really looked like he was about to crumble. Kind of when he fought not that long ago, he fought Jackson. Kind of seemed like he was going to crumble, like he was going to give up. But Blackshear powered through that early storm that Gibson brought to him, which was smart, but Gibson wasn't able to keep it up. And in round 2, Damon Blackshear started landing the better shots, started slowly picking apart Cody Gibson. In round 1, Damon Blackshear, at the end of that round, almost got a submission on Cody Gibson. They were reversing positions back and forth. Damon was wrapping up. I think he had a Darce at one point. He had a guillotine at one point. The BJJ is so good. Damon Blackshear's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is so good. His submission game is so good, and he just kept reversing positions, wasn't able to find a choke, looked for a different choke, just kept moving around. And then in round 2, he was able to get the takedown, get on top of Cody Gibson, landed nasty ground and pound, man, to the body, to the head, was in a crucifix position. I was just waiting for him, man. The last fight, there was Kimura, and I was like, Damon Blackshear had the perfect opportunity, man. I was waiting. He puts his leg over Cody Gibson's head. I just knew it was over. I knew it was over. Blackshear grabbed the arm, goes for the Kimura. That's back-to-back Kimuras on this card. Insane back-to-back Kimuras. Beautiful win by Damon Blackshear. Another submission win. I think this could have also deserved a performance bonus of the night, man. So many potential performance bonus of the night, but you can't give one out to everybody. But another beautiful submission by Damon Blackshear. I think he is a great bantamweight fighter, and he's lost to some high-level competition. So I'd love to see Damon Blackshear keep getting that win streak going and make his way into the bantamweight rankings. But we will move on to the feature fight, Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh. This fight is the only fight that probably really bothered me on this card. It was close. It was really, really close. Kurt Holobaugh was the one pushing forward in round 1. Round 2, landing the better shots. In round 1, Kurt Holobaugh, that was his round all day. That was a 10-9 easy. Round 2, it was really close. It was back and forth. Kurt Holobaugh was throwing and landing the better shots. He was hurting Alexander Hernandez, pushing him up against the cage, landing really crisp shots up against the fence, man. And Kurt Holobaugh, I thought he had done enough, but Alexander Hernandez got a takedown at the end of round 2, was able to hold Kurt Holobaugh down for, I believe, 2 minutes. He got 2 minutes of ground control time there. And then the second they came out in round 3, Alexander Hernandez shot right away, and Kurt Holobaugh ended up on his back for basically the entirety of the round. I don't think this was a unanimous decision. I mean, at one point, I think one of the scorecards read 30-27 for Alexander Hernandez. Where in the world was there a 30-27? Somebody explain this to me, man. Makes zero sense. But yeah, the scorecard's just ridiculous. Sal Diamato's back at it, man. Every single time this guy makes a horrible call. I think Hernandez did win with the control time, but it should have been a split decision. This was definitely a split decision. Like, I don't understand how it was a 30-27 unanimous decision for Alexander Hernandez, but it is what it is, man. Of course, there's going to be a very close fight or, a near robbery on every single card. So Alexander Hernandez gets the win. I guess good win for him. But we will move on to the co-main event, JD Njokuani versus Elezu Zaleski dos Santos. I really thought dos Santos was going to have, a bit of an advantage on the ground, was going to be able to take Njokuani down, but Njokuani is just such a physical force. He's just there. He's just there in the center of the octagon. He was controlling the octagon the entire time, landing cheap kicks, head kicks, body kicks. His kicks are not telegraphed at all. He just throws them. It's really hard to predict. And Dos Santos was just too small. Chitty was just too physically imposing. He was right in Zaleski Dos Santos' face. The void. It was just too big for Dos Santos to close the distance. He rocked Chitty at one point, almost had him out on his feet. I believe in round one, he hit him really hard, and Chitty was stumbled a little bit, but then locked back in, had a tight guard, held his composure, and then once he got in the pocket with Dos Santos in round two, Chitty started throwing some nasty knees, connected with a knee, knocked Zaleski Dos Santos off his feet, back onto his back, and then Chitty and Jaquani finished it with some nice ground and pound. Beautiful win by Chitty and Jaquani, man. I would love to see him face potentially somebody to, if he wins, to then fight in the rankings, fight a ranked opponent or something. He called out for a ranked opponent. I think he needs one more win. He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. One more win, he deserves a ranked opponent, man. But great win by Chitty and Jaquani, excuse me. We move on though to the main event. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze gets his revenge. He exacts his revenge on Marvin Vettori. Very close fight though, back and forth. Roman Dolidze was able to outstrike Marvin Vettori in round two. I believe it was round three, round four, and round five. He was able to push the pace, land the better shots. And the main thing in this fight, I chose Marvin Vettori. I thought it was going to be the same outcome. I thought Marvin Vettori would have the 5-round experience. But the thing that we didn't expect is that Roman Dolidze really mixed it up a lot better than he had ever previously done. He used kicks, he used elbows, he used, switching stances, stance switching, not only throwing overhand rights. The problem with the first fight was that Roman Dolidze, even though he's cracking Marvin Vettori, he was only throwing overhand rights in that first fight. He didn't mix it up. He didn't go body, legs and head. He wasn't mixing all three. And this time he did that. He did that perfectly. He executed that perfectly. And he had cardio to go those 5 rounds. Looked like a fresher fighter than Marvin Vettori. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of moments where it was like I thought one of them was going to get knocked out. It was back and forth, landing big shots. Roman Dolidze landed the bigger shots. He mixed it up better, had Marvin Vettori injured a lot throughout this fight, and it was really just back and forth. But I do think Roman Dolidze deserved this unanimous decision. He outpointed him, outpointed Vettori in every moment of the fight. Vettori had some good moments, but that ring rust, it's 2-year layoff, pretty rough to come back. Marvin Vettori still fought a good fight, but Roman Dolidze gets a unanimous decision and moves into the top 10, boys. So that is my entire breakdown and recap for UFC Vegas 104. If you guys did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below what you guys thought about this card, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.